What is going on, everyone? We're doing another vertical stream today. We're going to try this out. We're going to keep doing these change my mind streams as vertical because I feel like that's just the best way to do it. But how are we all doing today, everybody? I hope we're all having a beautiful, amazing day. Hope you're all killing it in every possible sense of the way. And yeah, let's talk about this, guys. Sincerely, let's talk about this because I have seen so many different comments. There's actually multiple different things that I want to talk about on the stream. There are so many different things that I want to talk about on the stream because, genuinely speaking, like the amount of things that I have seen people say in regards to not just trying to justify Yuji as special grade, because that was the first change my mind, everything like that. But the amount of things that I've seen people say just to justify what special grade is, what, I've heard people say some of the craziest things in the world, and I just want to address it because honestly, one of my favorite things about anime and manga, and honestly, it's just becoming like a normal part of the world, is just like how like how much people want to win an argument, and how much people will just they have this thought in their head, and like it doesn't matter what happens, you will just immediately this is you'll just immediately love that. Like especially that I saw on my Yuta versus Yuji video or short that I did yesterday. I just got to be like, there's no way some of you people believe this, right? There's no way that like people really think that Yuji is beating someone like Yuta. Like, there's no way people genuinely think Yuji is beating someone like Kenjaku one on one. I saw people saying that Yuji was stronger than Sukuna. Yuji was able to beat Sukuna, so Yuji is the new strongest character in the series, and it's like, huh? Crazy to me. I think Yuji probably sits at around like top 7, top 8. Like Yuji's in the top 10. We can all agree that Yuji is 110% in top 10. I think that's very clear, very fair. When it comes to like, and it's so funny too because here like of all the comments that I get, like watching no operator 100 shouts out, Noah shouts out, feels like watching the same person with their cookie cutter takes. If they're cookie cutter, why are my comments filled with everybody disagreeing with me if they're cookie cutter? Do I think Fumihiko Takaba is one of the top 5? I would probably put Fumihiko Takaba is like an honorable mention. Like I think Fumihiko Takaba probably sits like on the same level as Kenjaku, but like he have like a little asterisk next to him. I wouldn't put him on the actual ranking, right? Because he can't kill anybody. All he can do is just stalemate someone for a super long period of time. Like I wouldn't put him necessarily on a ranking because he's such like Takaba is a special grade. If anybody is a motherfucking special grade. All right? And because he's just literally an anomaly. First of all, also as well, everyone likes for the doggies, likes for the beautiful, beautiful doggies. Tell them that you love them. Oh, my Gertie. Tiberius, thank you for the 5. Appreciate the love. Sukuna, Gojo, Yuta, Kenny, Kashimo, Yorozu, Yuki, Maki, Yuji, and Arame. I don't rank Takaba or Maho. Fair enough. Yeah, Maharaga being his own thing, I don't really consider that a thing. You should go over the comments you disagreed with, then give your own input and look at the comments you agreed with. There's not that many comments that I genuinely, most of the time, I mean, there are good comments. Who's in 5th place? So, like, I think my ranking would personally go Suguna, Gojo, and then, like, most likely, to be completely honest with you, Kenjaku is probably going to be my top 3 because who is beating Kenjaku in a one-on-one fight besides Gojo or Sukuna at this point, right? Like, I don't think there's genuinely anyone that would be capable of doing that. Like, maybe Kashimo, but like Kashimo, maybe that's due to more matchup. I would put Kashimo very low on the list. Kashimo's like, honestly, like Yuta and Kashimo probably sit pretty neck and neck, personally. Yuta did it. Well, Yuta also wasn't able to do it himself, right? Yuta had to sneak attack him. Kashimo and Yuta. Yuta beats Kashimo for sure. What is my top five? Yeah, I think that I think so. Like that's my top three, right? Sukuna, Gojo, number two. Kenjaku's number three. I should have put my list here, but I guess my next below that would probably be Yuta. Yuta would probably be my top four. Yuta would probably be my top four. Yuta beat Yuta beat Kenjaku in a 1v1 where Takaba and Toto helped. Okay, guys, that's kind of what I mean. It's just like Yuji beat Sukuna. Like everyone was saying that Yuji beat Sukuna in a 1v1. Like, no, not even close. Like Yuji did not beat Sukuna in a 1v1. You're saying this because you know Yuji's number six? Like I said, seven, maybe. Like, I know a lot of people disagree, but I would put Maki over Yuji as well. Um, without a doubt. I would say that without a doubt. I'd put Maki over Yuji as well. Um, I would also probably put Yuki over Yuji. I would probably also put Yuki over Yuji, personally. Kenjaku beats Yuta up until the end. Yuta gets that deep bag of tricks. I don't know. I think Kenjaku is a pretty decent fucking is like one of the strongest sorcerers of all time, especially now that he has curse spear manipulation and the gravity manipulation. Like, who's beating him? Who is beating him personally? And at least in my opinion. Like, I think Yuta's probably the best person, like his closest matchup, but I think Kenjaku would end up winning in the long run, personally. Yage said in the volume extra that technique extinguishment can nullify cursed energy itself. Kenjaku might just be a technique extinguishment victim. Well, I guess at that point, then everyone's a technique extinguishment victim, eh? But yeah, I guess, but also it depends because Kenjaku has an open barrier domain, right? So Kenjaku has the potential to slaughter Yuta in a domain clash. And the difference is Yuta is not as experienced in changing his domain conditions as Gojo is. We know that for a fact just based off of he wasn't even able it wasn't even a factor when he took over Gojo's body. Like Yuta was surprised the entire time with everybody else going, "You can do that? You can change your domain conditions about that?" So, I don't think Yuta necessarily would be able to like change his domain conditions to handle an open barrier domain with like Kenjaku has. So, I think Yuta's domain might not even be a factor. What do I think about it? Higuruma Hiromi? Higuruma Hiromi isn't necessarily top 10, but what's up, Noab? You're really striking up engaging JJK topics these days. Thank you, Animatrix. I appreciate that. I appreciate that. I'm like I said, like I know everyone thinks that I'm rage baiting, but genuinely I'm not. I just like to, I just like to get my point across, especially when like for example, something that I usually I have made it a point to usually just not respond to comments anymore because it's just there's no point. It's like Sisyphus, you're rolling up, the hill. But one thing that I think was very interesting was there were people when we were speaking about special grades, people keep bringing up this quote of in order to be a special grade, you need to be able to beat special grades comfortably. So if anyone can give me a page number or a chapter where that is actually stated or said verbatim by anyone, because I feel like a statement like that completely goes against the entire idea of special grade, because I feel like there's a lot of grade 1 sorcerers that can handle special grades comfortably. Like, Nanami can, like, you also have to remember that, like, special grades, like, the range of special grade is insane for curses. And also, I also saw a lot of people conflate that special grade for curses is the same thing as special grade for sorcerers, which is just not the case at all either. Special grade curses reach special grade much earlier in power than sorcerers do. That's why you have people like the Finger Bearer. Like, that's why Origin of Obedience was quite literally an arc, because you went through Origin of Obedience, Yuji, Nobara, and Megami all exercised a special grade curse spirit, and therefore they were able to get recommended to grade 1. It's the whole entire point of Origin of Obedience arc. So the fact that there are people telling me that I have no reading comprehension, over saying that you have to be that's the requirement for a grade one. See ya, your boy Plank. Thanks for popping in. It's in what world? And then it's like, oh well, in Jujutsu Kaisen Zero, Maki said that you have to be able to beat special grades comfortably. I mean, you can take one look into JJK Zero. Does not that she doesn't say that. She doesn't say that at all. So then I ask, hey guys, can I get a page number, a chapter number? And it's reading comprehension. Like you have a problem. Like you can obviously interpret that from what Yaga says in this other part of. But it's like, okay, I thought Maki said this. Now we've kicked the can down the road, and actually it was Yaga who said it. But again, we still can't give a page number or a chapter number. It's as soon as we ask for where was this said, crickets. It's the same thing with, Gege has an author comment that admits Gojo would have won without Maharaga. Where is that author comment? Where is that evidence? Crickets. There's the it's these things that like people just say, and then they see other people say them, and then they like, oh, that's truth, and then they follow along with that, and it's like, but where is the original statement that this was said? Crickets. So I guess that's my thing. Like, I have no problem being wrong. I said this in the Chainsaw Man stream I did with DJ Miles yesterday. I have no problem being wrong. Like, if I'm proven wrong, then that just means Yuji special grade, and I can glaze my boy Yuji, because if you've been here on my channel for long enough, you know Yuji is one of my favorite fucking characters of all time. If you were here in those community streams, those live streams of me, all of us reacting to Yuji chaining all of those fucking black flashes together and doing all of those, like, like, I love Yuji. Please give me more of a reason to glaze my boy. But the thing is if these reasons aren't real reasons, then I can't blind myself by glaze and agenda. I'm just not one of those people. And it's just genuinely funny to me that like I'm the one that's biased and I'm the one that's rage baiting. And it's like, I just want there to be a definitive statement that tells me this. That's all I want. We've grew. Thank you for the 5. Kashimo can beat Yuta. It's whoever pulls the trigger first in my mind. If Yuta doesn't pull the domain, Kashimo with curse technique wins. I don't know about that. The thing with Yuta that I feel like a lot of people just don't realize is Yuta has Rika. Yuta has Rika to defend. And Rika isn't something that Yuta has to mentally command or like mentally whatever. Once Rika's fully manifested, even when she's partially manifested, Rika is a sentient being that can act on her own, that act on her own, right? Rika can literally just like, if there is some crazy kind of like, you are always fighting a 2v1 against Yuta. I don't think Rika gets enough glaze. Like I mentioned, literally speaking, that Noah, I will always talk shit about. I will talk shit about this to the day I die. But genuinely, I'm gonna keep a bucket with y'all. Don't act like you hate talking about JJK. Enjoy the discussion and stop tripping. Everyone loves Jujutsu Kaisen. People still talk about mid Kaisen. Hey Noah, thanks for the 2. Yuji is the GOAT. Yuji is the GOAT, but if he ever was to meet his mom in combat, oof. That'd be tough. If you ever don't ever put Yuji in another exchange event against Maki. They Tokyo class better keep hoping they go up against Kyoto every year and Todo stops participating because he graduates. Because if the exchange event ever becomes where they just start fighting each other, Maki's claiming everybody. Yuta's obviously stronger than Maki, right? Like I put Yuta above Maki, but I put Maki above Yuji personally. And yeah, I'm sorry. I'm going to it's calling. I'm trying to. I'm going through my rant and I'm missing the dono, so I do apologize. I'm trying to catch up. Thank you for the 11 months, Scarling. Gege has made characters say things that are not 100% accurate. His characters are not perfect and don't know it all. Their thinking can be flawed. I completely agree with that. I believe an unreliable narrator is 110%. But My belief that Sukuna would still win against Gojo isn't based off of Gojo saying that like he wouldn't win, even if it'd still be damn tough with the Ten Shadows. Like I think a lot of people also don't realize how much of a buff forearm Sukuna actually genuinely is to sorcery, with having the ability to make hand signs with two different with two different sets of arms, have the mouth for the extra set of incantations. His domain expansions would be so much faster to go through. He starts being able to copy Gojo's, hand sign for the one-handed sign. The domain amplification with forearms is crazy. I think, and that's also a big thing, is I think Yuta in Gojo's body fighting Sukuna and losing was not only was it because of Yuta's inexperience with using Gojo's body, but narratively, I think it also makes sense. Hotel Hostel 0622, thank you for the dono. Thank you for the $2. Low key, this is just Hikari over Yuta 2.0. It truly is on yeah, it truly is. In a certain way. Maybe I don't know if everyone agrees with that, but in a certain way it really is. Um like Sukuna would have won against Gojo regardless, in my personal opinion. And I think Yuta losing to Sukuna proves that. Also in a way, like it was almost showing that the next generation needed to move on from Gojo. Narratively, right? Speaking, the next generation needed to move past Satoru Gojo. They needed to stop relying on this monster, and Yuta believing that he needed to become the monster was ultimately flawed from the very beginning because Yuta didn't learn the lesson. Yuta wanted to become Gojo, but you can't just become Gojo and fill his shoes. You have to create something different and move on. The next generation can't just be Satoru Gojo. There's only one Satoru Gojo. The next generation has to become their own thing and surpass Gojo in their own way. And that is what they did through Yuji, through their combined effort of doing everything. Yes, Yuta was required to make the decision that he did. I've seen a lot of people think that like I'm saying that the Yuta thing doesn't make sense and Yuta should have never became Gojo. I understand that Yuji and Dodo would have gotten fucking domained easily and cleaved and killed, but if Yuta didn't do that, but either way, like I think Yuta doing that makes sense for his character, but like I said, I think narratively there's a reason why Sukuna bodied Yuta Gojo in the domain clash again because Sukuna was just that much more powerful. Colin, thank you for the 5. Yuji has many tricks. Black Lightning is his cream and butter, but do needs a curse tool or something to bring him up a few tiers. I completely agree with you. A lot of people were mentioning that, Yuji has 2 curse techniques. Case closed. He's a special grade. I don't know what that has to do with anything. I don't know where we ever got that from. Just give one reason of why the fuck Nobara doesn't wake up 2 hours earlier. Because she was sleepy tired, man. She needed her little nappy before she maybe she did wake up 2 hours earlier and she was like, damn, I'm still tired. Yeah, the snooze button, Sometimes you miss that second snooze, it becomes a third or a fourth, and she showed up. That's all that matters. God damn it. She showed face. Give Yuji time to shine. But genuinely speaking, for all the people that are also asking what my top 5 are, I went over it before, but I'll say it again. Most likely my top 5 would be Sukuna on top, Gojo in second place, Kenjaku in third place, Yuta in fourth place, and I go back and forth with top 5 between Yuki and Maki, but that's probably where it sits. And then throw Takaba in there as like an honorable mention. Obviously, I wouldn't really feel comfortable ranking him because he's more of like a stalemate, funny guy. But where's Hikari? Not even in the top 5. I think that's the worst part about it. I'm not, I mean, not even in the top 10. I'm sorry, I said top 5. Hikari's not even in the top 10 personally for me. Because I think, like I said, Maki, Yuki, 5, 6. I'd put Yuji probably there at 7. Um, Arame, Kashimo, 9 and 10. Actually, maybe Hikari would be number 10. Because I do put Kashimo over Hikari. Kashimo beat Hikari literally 3, 4 times. If Hikari wasn't immortal, Hikari would not have won. And literally, if they fought in an area that did not have water, Kashimo would have won. So, in my personal opinion, I put Kashimo over Hikari. Genuinely. You can write your top five in chat and pin it. I don't know if I can do that. I might be able to. No, I can only start a poll. I can't write it in chat. If one of the mods want to, and I would be very appreciative of that. But I don't think I can use the chat option on my phone. If Akari wasn't Akari, he loses. Well, no. Let's also remember, like, they were by water. So if Akari wasn't fighting in Tokyo Number 2 Colony, if they were fighting on, like, let's say, like, the World Tournament stage in Dragon Ball Z and with no ring outs, the fuck is Akari? What the fuck is Hikari gonna do when Kashimo comes for him again? He only ran out of curse energy because he had to exhaust it all in the water. Ishigori probably beats Yuji. I think that's a good fight, genuinely speaking. I think that's actually a really good fight. Please let us know why Maki's over Yuji and Hikari and how Maki is over Akashi no. Well, Maki's over Hikari for the bear. Well, first of all, I think everyone kind of downplays Maki tremendously. Maki was one of the only people that Sukuna was actually excited to fight in the Shinjuku Showdown. I think that is a glaze that you can't just look over, besides Higuruma Hiromi of all people. But Maki, genuinely speaking, is probably one of the fastest people in the series now. She's faster than Yuji. She's faster. She was fast enough to keep up with Sukuna in 1v1 combat when Yuji was not fast enough to keep up with Sukuna in a foot race. So there is that. Maki consistently dodged his mantles. She did not. So Maki did not dodge world cutting slash. He was excited because of what Maki is and represents, not because of strength. No, it was because of strength. It was definitely because of strength. I mean, again, Maki was the only like everyone that's acting like Yuji was like the only person that was able to go one-on-one with Sukuna. Like Maki was also able to pretty much go one-on-one with Sukuna. Probably some of the best action, 1v1 action that was there. No, it was definitely strength. Why does he say the same thing about Yuta? I mean, he wasn't. I mean, also at the same time, maybe he wasn't that impressed with Yuta. He was very impressed by Higuruma because of what Higuruma was able to do, and what Higuruma was able to do. I wouldn't say that Higuruma is stronger than Yuta because Sukuna acknowledged Higuruma and not anybody else either. But that's just how it is. Sukuna finds things very interesting. My point is not that Sukuna found her fascinating. My point is that Sukuna was willing to go all out against her and test himself to the point that he got in the zone and hit a black flash, right? Like, I'm pretty sure it's because of what she represents. Yes, it is because of what she represents, but she also put up a good fight, right? She put up one of the best fights forward. She was one of the only people that was really able to swing with him one-on-one besides Yuji. And again, Yuji was really only able to do so because with help. Thank you for the 10, Scarling. Only way Hikari can beat Kashimo is if Kashimo uses his curse technique and Hikari stalls enough time for Kashimo's life to run out. Hikari would be a good, persistent hunter, not a strong brawler. I don't know about that. I mean, Kashimo literally was coming up with new ways to kill Hikari past his immortality every single time. I think Kashimo would have eventually won, right? Especially because at the very least, at the end of the fight, Hikari had to give up a binding vow to survive the last explosion that Kashimo used. So if that, let's say, for example, if they were on land, Kashimo still was able to make that explosion, but was still able to fight afterwards, Hikari wouldn't have even been able to domain after that. Yuji legit has a crippled shrine. Let's not talk about that. Yeah, Yuji, everyone's like, Yuji has shrine. Yuji's shrine is like not that great. There we go, Senshin. That's the kind of that's right. That's there we go. That's the kind of criticism I need. There we go, Senshin. You got it. You didn't fall for the bait. Shrine of the Flaccid Cuts. I guess Yuji was so pathetic in this final fight, is what you're saying, and it's just not true. I don't think I think you're putting words in my mouth with that. I never said that Yuji was pathetic. I just said that Yuji was not able to 1v1 Sukuna on his own. Yuji put up an awesome fight. I meant that Akari would only win if he forced Kashimo to use his trump card, and that being his only winning chance. No, I understand. I completely understand. But I think you can tell with how Kashimo destroyed his stomach, how Kashimo went for his head, how Kashimo was able to like I don't know. Personally, I feel like Kashimo would have won that. We could agree to disagree. But I put Kashimo over Hikari, even without his curse technique. I just think the fact that Kashima was able to kill Hikari 3 times in a row, and sure, yeah, you could say that, well, Hikari only won because he's Hikari. That doesn't change the fact that Hikari's immortal. I mean, let's say, for example, if I fight, who's a character that's fucking immortal, that can't die? I'm trying to think. I'm trying to think of a character that can't die. Also, Kashimo essentially took no damage versus Hikari. Oh, thank you, Rafoto. That's such a good point as well. Kashimo literally only lost because he ran out of curse energy. But someone that's immortal that I can't think of it, and sure, from undead on either way, like if you put someone that's immortal, let's say I make a stick figure, Mahoy Manoy, Doodle Bob from SpongeBob. Let's make him immortal. He's a concept, sure, whatever, who knows. And I put him up against Goku, and Goku's beating the brakes off this man for 3 years straight because he can't die. And then Doodle Bob gets one quick lick on him when Goku takes a break and he gets a little tired and cuts Goku's head off. Would you then be like, oh, see, Doodle Bob scales to Goku? No, you would not say that. Hikari's a persistent hunter. He fights to survive and stall all the time. Hikari is, you know what? The final Orame fight really just did Hikari dirty. Because remember how much love Hikari got? Remember how much glaze and just anticipation? Everyone was so excited for Hikari. Everyone loved his ass. And then he gets sidelined in the Orame fight and it was over. It's just unfortunate. It's just sad. Just unfortunate. But we've gotten off topic. After Awakening, Yuji literally combos Sukuna alone, and Sukuna literally was crying. Do you expect to climb to my level? Yuji simple domain tanks Sukuna's domain expansion apart from Fuga. I mean, apart from Fuga is like it's such an important thing there. Apart from Fuga, I think we have to remember, right, how many times Yuji was about to die and he got saved by someone else. Like, that Fuga is the perfect thing. Like, Yuji literally only survived Fuga because Choso took the hit for him. So there is that. We have Yuji was only able to beat Sukuna in the domain clash because Nobara soul resonance hit him. Yuji was only able to keep up the fight against Sukuna because Toto showed up. Yuji and Toto were only able to survive the fight with Sukuna because Yuta Gojo showed up. And then they again, because Yuta Gojo failed and his time limit went up, Yuji and Toto were again saved by Angel's final thing, who again, Sukuna then beats the brakes off of Toto, almost beats the brakes out of Angel, and again would have beaten Yuji if Nobara didn't soul resonance. So this whole idea that like Yuji did the best against Sukuna is just not true. You know who did the best against Sukuna? Probably Maki. Probably Yuta. They were probably the two strongest people of the Shinjuku Showdown squad that definitely did. Maki wouldn't even survive 20 seconds in Sukuna's domain. I mean, the greatest thing, yeah, I mean, that is true. Maki would lose to Sukuna's domain. But that's matchup. That has nothing to do with like that's not because Sukuna is just so much stronger than Maki. Again, like that is clearly like a hacks matchup, right? Because Maki cannot escape. She has no cursed energy. She doesn't have a way. Like that's a matchup thing. That's like if I did that. That's like if I was doing Naruto versus Ichigo, and I said, by the way, Naruto loses because technically speaking, he can't see Ichigo. That's kind of the same thing, right? Why did Yuji even fight? It seems pointless when you describe him. I don't know why it seems pointless when I describe, like, clearly Yuji was necessary to kill Sukuna. I feel like this is exactly what I mean. Like if I don't give Yuji full glaze, then I'm downplaying and I hate him and he's the worst fucking character ever. And why did Gege even write him into the story and try and fight in Shinjuku Showdown? Because like you reducing what I'm saying to that, I can reduce you what you're saying to exactly the exact same thing. It's just as reductive. The conversation goes nowhere, right? The conversation goes absolutely nowhere. The point is like that we can admit that damn, Yuji, everybody had their role. You know, Yuji had their role. Yuji had the soul hits. They would not have been able to beat Sukuna without Yuji's soul hits. But does that mean that Yuji did the best against Sukuna and 1v1 Sukuna? No, it does not mean that whatsoever. Does not even relatively close because again, Yuji would have died, I think, multiple times over. If no one else was included in that fight. Yuji was not beating Sukuna 1v1. Are we talking about end of series Yuji or max potential Yuji with like 10 plus years of training? Well, you bring up such a great point, French N, because genuinely speaking, that entire question is also one of my biggest problems and why I decided wanted to do a stream like this because I feel like so many times when we describe end of series characters, especially Yuji, that's what the conversation surrounds. Thank you so much for the $10 dono, Smelly Mayo. I'll get right to you in a second. Oh, wait, actually, no, let's go. Your Yuji can use blood manipulation on his keep. All right, that he's my goat. He might not win the fight, but he cares. Okay, I'm not even. I appreciate the $10. Thank you so much. I'm glad we don't have Texas speech. What the fuck? Thank you so much. Anyway, you don't think you can convince me? I mean, we don't. I mean, like again, you know, I did lose a little bit of my train of thought with that one. But oh yeah, so when we talk about end of series Yuji, I'm talking about Yuji chapter 271. Chapter 271, 271.5 even, if you want to get specific. I feel like a lot of times when we talk about end of series Yuji, when I bring up Yuji as in a special grade, people are always like, "Oh well, with a couple years experience, he'll be beating everybody." Okay, but that's not the end of this. But that's not end of series Yuji. I mean, we can speculate Jujutsu Kaisen 2 headcanon all day, every day, but that doesn't. It's just agenda at that point. Yeah, end of the day, like Yuji can't use blood manipulation. Everyone gives him blood manipulation. Everybody gives him that. Like you act like she lasted 5 chapters. Maki did last 5 chapters. I think she lasted longer than that. She was in the fight for a good 10 chapters, I believe. I think she didn't. She showed up 252, and then I think the time she left was when the domain expansion came at like 259. So she was there for a good, what, 7 chapters? That's pretty significant. Um, but either way, we should never talk about characters how they'll end up 3 years after the series. Like Yuji can't use blood manipulation, right? Like right now he can't use blood manipulation. Everyone gives him the feat, but if you talk to people, people say Yuji's got blood manipulation. Yuji has blood manipulation. He can use that. No, he can't. Yuji can't use blood manipulation. It's specifically stated in the series that he can't even do convergence. He needs Choso to do the convergence for him, and then he can use blood manipulation. And Choso's dead. Choso's dead. The best Yuji can do is have his blood burst, which is nice. But people talk about Yuji like he's got full on piercing blood, full on, blood blade. He's full on Choso. He's not. Didn't he use it in Yuta's domain? Yuji used blood manipulation, as in he used the Kichizu's bursting blood, which again, Yuji can make his blood burst, but Yuji cannot make convergence on his own. Yuji cannot control blood. Yuji cannot use piercing blood on his own without help. He can't use slicing exorcism, whatever Kamo Noritoshi, was using. Yuji again has like the bare minimal amount of blood manipulation to the point that he can't even really control blood. He can just make, if any blood gets on his opponent, he can make it explode and cause damage. Zachary Wilson, thank you for the 5. People give Yuji 10 years to become stronger, then not give it to someone like Yuta who would also get stronger, heck, even become the head of the Gojo clan. Such a good point, Zachary Wilson, and that's such a good point, and it really does show that it's a little it's a little bit of agenda based, because yeah, everyone's like, oh well, Yuji in 10 years will be beating the brakes off of Yuta. It's like, you don't think Yuta in 10 years would also probably get stronger? Yuta became a better technique user than Gojo in less than a month. While Yuji couldn't even master the initial stages of blood manipulation in a month, the gap would only widen. I don't know if Yuta surpassed Gojo's domain conditions. I don't. I definitely wouldn't say that, but I see what you're saying. Would have been cool if we saw him use flowing red scale. I feel like that's something that, like, if people are saying like, oh, like Yuji could learn anything, I feel like that's the most viable thing that Yuji would be able to learn, right? Is flowing red scale. That's probably literally the best and closest thing he has to offer. Could Yuji learn convergence from Noritoshi? Possibly he could, but I mean, I just wouldn't use that in like power scaling. Um, Yuji can just open his domain and choose specifically. I guess that's it. I guess that's cool that he can change the technique in his domain, but I think that's more to do with his domain's ability than it is like he's just a good condition. He's just a good barrier user. But yeah, I just don't think like another thing, like, because I know people are saying like, oh, like Yuji only had a month to learn RCT simple domain. Oh, Yuji did great. Yuji did fucking awesome, in my honest opinion. Like, Yuji did amazing. I'm not taking that away from him. Again, saying that Yuji isn't top 5 or saying that Yuji isn't special grade doesn't mean that I don't like Yuji and I'm not happy with where he ended up in the series. I think Yuji is genuinely like one of the top 10. Probably he's literally probably number 7 in my honest opinion. But I just think there are plenty of people that are and were stronger than him. Like, I know this controversial. I would put Yuki over Yuji. I would definitely put Yuki over Yuji without a doubt. No op, do you think the anime will make Kashima versus Sukuna a little better? I think Mythical Beast Amber deserved a better showcase and execution. I think we'll get a little bit more. I think we'll get more improvised scenes and just more extended things, right? I don't think we'll get fully different. We might get a longer fight scene with Hikari and Arame, just a little bit more to enjoy, but I don't think there'll be like a full episode or anything, or we'll get a full fight. We might. I don't think so. I don't want to get my hopes up. Yeah, also that's also important too. When people say that like Yuji was able to learn all these things super quick. Like, I don't want to take that away from him. Yuji did learn everything so quick, but it's funny that you do mention that, like, that Yuji only was able to do that because they did the soul swap technique, and Wee Wee was literally the fucking full on MVP of Shinjuku Showdown. You know what's crazy? I think it was crazy that people were coming at me for saying Ino was the MVP of Shinjuku Showdown. Wee Wee, in my opinion, was definitely the key player. Probably one of the most important things that they could have ever possibly had. But Ino, my guy, like, you know what I mean? Like, I think people misunderstand. Like, Ino was able to set up a Black Flash for Yuji. He fucking went in there. He was one of the only people that fucking threw in. LaRue was more clutch than Ino. Yeah, the guy that sat around and got Black Flashed by fucking Sukuna was more clutch than Ino? Get the hell out of here. Absolutely not. LaRue was a big hand in Yuji Awakening. I don't know about that. LaRue came by, said, "Here, let me show you this curse technique." Held Zakuna in place so he could get Black Flashed, but LaRue ended up starting a Black Flash chain that created a turn of events that, oh no. Where's Miguel on this list? I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. I couldn't begin to tell you where Miguel is, honestly. Miguel's strong, don't get me wrong. Miguel's very strong. But I think like I would put someone like Arame and Kashimo over Miguel personally. Where's Yorozu on this list? She's up there, but however, I would probably put Kashimo and Arame above Yorozu. Here's a good question. Where do you feel like how's Hikari versus Yorozu go? What do you guys think about Hikari versus Yorozu? That's a really interesting one. You know, that's a really interesting one. Hikari versus Yorozu would be a good fight, I feel like. Yorozu's OP as hell. To be able to fight 15 finger Sukuna, and also like again, like this was a 15 finger Sukuna that slaughtered Ishigori Ryu at this point. Like, yeah, Yorozu's up there. Yorozu's up there. Yorozu actually, Yorozu's kind of a sleeper hit. You know, Yorozu might actually, actually might dethrone Hikari from the top 10. In my honest opinion, actually, you know what? She does. She does. She dethrones Hikari. Hikari's not even in top 10. Yorozu dethrones him. Um, and I guess Yorozu should be stronger than Arame, even though I think Arame is a counter to Yorozu. I think Arame does counter Yorozu just because Ice probably beats her construction technique pretty easily. Whereas PBS Kids, it's being edited. I had that sponsored video that came up that completely switched up my entire schedule. So I had to postpone that so I could get the sponsored video out. I know all of you guys love that sponsored video. Go check it out if you haven't already if you want to show love. But either way, that video's coming soon. I promise. Ask again who the top five in your verse. I wish I could pin this. But yeah, top five in the verse is Sukuna, Gojo, Kenjaku, Yuta, and then Maki. I put Maki and Toji in the exact same spot, by the way. Maki and Toji are equal. I don't care what anybody fucking says. Maki and Toji are equal in power. They are equals. Yorozu might be Kashimo level strength, low key, probably. But I think I would probably put Kashimo above Yorozu, though. I mean, she didn't fight the Void Generals. Also, Ice is debatable. If it wouldn't also disappear from existence. Right. I mean, she didn't necessarily fight the Void Generals, but Sukuna also was like. I mean, she's also like Arame. I keep saying she. I know Harame was revealed to be a guy originally. I keep forgetting. We've been using gender neutral pronouns for them for so long that I just kind of forget. Because we never knew what he was. So the thing is, Arame was like Sukuna's lackey. Like Arame just wanted to make Sukuna happy and just cook for Sukuna. So I don't think like not beating the Void Generals. Like we don't know, where Arame scaled and everything. Arame was powerful enough to be by Sukuna's side. Was also powerful enough to not get slaughtered throughout the entire Heian era. I think the Heian era is like a different age, a different era and breed. We unfortunately don't know much about it, but holy shit, Maki top five? Oh, 110%. 110. 110. Who's beating Maki? Who's beating Maki? Could Yuji beat the Roach Curse? No. I want to hear your side on Maki Toji being top five over Kashimo. The issue is Kashimo suffers from the clear fact. He suffers from the same thing that Yuki kind of suffers from, right? Like Kashimo with Mythical Beast Amber, he can only use it once. So 9 times out of 10, any fight that he's going on, that he's going into, he's not going to win because he's not going to use Mythical Beast Amber. Now, if we do say that Kashimo's going all out, that does change a couple things. However, I'm going to base the very fact that Sukuna was able to keep up with Kashimo and even like blindside him a couple times. A Maki that was able to perceive and keep up with Sukuna better than Kashimo was, honestly, tells me kind of what everything that I kind of need to know. As long as Maki doesn't take any critical hits, she could win that very easily. Soul Split Katana is OP. That's also why Maki beats Hikari. Soul Split Katana is pretty much an instant no heal for anybody. Instant no heal for anybody, right? The only people that are going to be able to heal from Soul Split Katana are Sukuna and potentially, maybe at best, Yuji. Name everyone above Yuji, like I just did. Yeah, like I said, I just did. There's plenty of people. Also, I again Yuki above Yuji, Maki above Yuji, Yuta above Yuji. Only people who can heal is Yuji and Sukuna. Yep. How can anyone speed blitz Sukuna after Kashimo? That was just wild. Ultimately, it just comes down to Jujutsu Kaisen is most likely not lightning speed, where a lot of people think it is. You could say they get somewhat close to lightning, but most likely, they just don't reach lightning speed. At best, you could say that Kashimo's fucking guaranteed hit lightning is like lightning speed, but again, potentially not if Hikari was able to match it. Yeah, it's just tough. I think at best you could be like, oh, they're like, they can reach pretty high speeds, but again, yeah, I don't know about this. Hikari above Yuji, keep the agenda. No. Would Mahito be able to heal it because he can also perceive the soul? That's questionable. That's very highly questionable. However, I think he might lose not because soul wise, but because it seems to be pretty fucking OP against curse spirits. I would imagine. I could be wrong though. Mahito is a special case. Mahito is definitely a special case. Where do I put Angel at? Angel's not even. I don't. Angel's nowhere, bro. Angel was like one of the. Even Gege was like, yeah, I kind of fumbled with the Angel character here. I wish I could have used her more. Yeah, probably would have been a good idea, bro. How does Mahito do against end of series Yuji? Yuji's much stronger, but Mahito can actually use his technique against him. Yuji probably is still able to come out of that. The thing is, right, is we know that when Mahito first fought Nanami was able to throw hands with Mahito, right? Not and not like get hit. Like obviously you have to pay attention to make sure you don't get hit, but you can fight Mahito while being aware to not get touched. So, and also if you do get touched, Nanami himself was able to subconsciously protect his soul from idle transfiguration. It's been so long since we talked about Mahito. I was like, what's his first technique name again? But yeah, so even Nanami and like not Mahito was like, you can probably only do that one or two more times before you're fucked. But the very fact that Nanami was able to subconsciously defend his soul from idle transfiguration tells me that Yuji, even though he is separated from Sukuna, probably does have the ability to, at the very least, endure idle transfiguration to a certain extent. If he gets caught in self-embodiment of perfection with constant idle transfiguration, constant repeated attacks going at him, Yuji is most likely going to lose, right? However, I think at this point, let's argue this, right? One big thing that I think kind of answers that question for us is Why is Sukuna able to completely resist idol transfiguration? Why is Sukuna able to completely sit inside of Mahito's domain and have the advantage? It's because Sukuna being inside, having that subconscious connection with Yuji, at least at that point on, Sukuna not only trounced Mahito in pure cursed energy, but trounced Mahito in pure soul power. So at the end of the day, I think to a degree, Yuji should not only be able to endure idol transfiguration, I think you could probably argue that Yuji probably has a pretty decent resistance to it. You know? Again, I hesitate to say that Yuji would be 100% immune to idol transfiguration like it seemed like Sukuna was, but I think there's a really good argument to be made why he just wouldn't even really kind of get cooked by it, and he'd be able to survive a decent amount of attacks by it. And a series Yuji could just domain clash with Mahito anyway. That is a really good point. Um, yeah. Where does Yuji rank for you? Like I said, around seven. Can Yuta preserve the soul he did with Rika? I don't know. I don't think so. I think quite honestly, the only people you can argue that have an adherence to the soul, Yuji and Maki. Maki's pretty much the only other character that's able to see the soul and attack the soul, right? Yuji would lose the domain clash. I don't know about that. I would argue that Yuji would probably at least be able to, if Yuji was if Yuji was able to, keep a domain up, I don't know. I don't know, but I do think I don't think I don't think there would be like I don't think Mahito would overtake his domain. The very fact that Megumi was able to like even somewhat hold back Dagon's fucking innate technique with his incomplete domain proves to me that Yuji would definitely be able to at least equally clash and just cancel out the two guaranteed hits. I have solid evidence scaling Yuji to 15 finger Sukuna. Uh, do people really think Yuji would be able to throw hands with Maharaga and win? Is that generally something that would work? Dagon never used a zero point 0.2 second domain. I guess that's fair. I guess that's fair. Mahito definitely is a domain king. Yeah, honestly, that's not a bad take. Yeah, that's actually a really good point. The zero point 0.2 domain does show Mahito definitely had some good experience with domains. Listen, Mahito is a character that could have went all the way, brother. There's a reason they had to take him out too early. Mahito was the goat. All this potential everyone's ascribing to Yuji and all these other that's Mahito's the real fucking character, all right. Mahito's the real fucking character. Y'all talking about anime? I don't know if you knew this, but that's the whole stream, brother, man. That's the whole stream. He just needed to see forearm Sukuna one time and he would have went crazy. Bro, don't even get me started. If Mahito ever saw Sukuna's true form, you're so right. That would have been done. We literally would have gotten Mahito forearm with the mouth on his Mahito was like, I can incant my curse technique to power it up? Interesting. Dude, bro, somebody stop him. Who knows? Listen, I would love to do a full potential Mahito video, but Broken Ronin has already beat me to it, and he probably has already said all of this. So if that sounds like an interesting topic, definitely go check it out. I'm not gonna, repeat, I'm not gonna beat a dead horse. He's already done the idea, justice. But genuinely speaking, like full potential Mahito really is such a fun conversation to have because bro could really go all the fucking way, without a doubt. For all the people that are asking me who's stronger than Yuji, I have said this so many times. I just can't keep repeating myself. I just have to keep stream going. What up, Young Ice? How we doing? But yeah, again, top five: Gojo, Sukuna, Kenjaku, Yuta, Maki, Yuki, and then I put Yuji in the number 7. Definitive answer on what Rika is. Apparently, she was using RCT. So is she a Shikigami? At this point, she might be. I mean, it's the empty husk that Rika left behind, right? I really don't know what. I mean, we should get a Yuji's top 3. Huh? Yuji's beating Kenjaku? Crazy take. Crazy take. Um, we will be getting a second data book, so it's definitely possible that we will get better explanations for some of these things, like Rika. What is Rika? What is the new Rika? Because I'm pretty sure that it uses an entirely different kanji, right? I mean, even Yorozu's beating Yuji. That's such a good point. Agreed. Give me one sec. I got to pull up the scaling for it. Oh boy. Listen, I've been going for like 55 minutes. My plan was to really only go for like an hour or so. So I'm gonna bring it down to wind down phase of top 10. Find someone who doesn't have Kashimo in their top 10. Kashimo is 100% in my top 10. I'm sorry to hurt you, but Kashimo 100% is in my top 10. Yeah, I think he's number 8. I would put him in number 8. No, 9, 9. I think I would put Arame over Kashimo personally. He's high up there. 8, 9. They swap between. Whereas Takaba, I don't rank Takaba. I put it honorable mention. What do you think about the upcoming Gege interview on the Gojo versus Sukuna fight? I haven't heard anything about that, but I would love to hear. I would love to hear what he has to say. I haven't heard anything about that. I would love to see if this is the interview where everyone apparently he said that Gojo would have lost without Maharaga. Because if we can get that from Gege, then hey, you know what? That makes sense. How does Kashimo beat Dagon? Um, Kashimo has Holler Wicker Basket, and also probably you could argue that if Naobito was busting through Dagon to the point that Dagon might not have even been able to cast Domain faster, like yes, Dagon was getting frozen and stunned by Naobito, but Kashimo is one very fast. All of his attacks are electrified and stun the opponent, which means they always go through. They always cause damage, even if you are durable enough, quote unquote. Right? Like Hanami and Dagon, these durable curse spirits would take damage from Kashimo's strikes just on the nature that his cursed energy is electrified. And also he has it's just he has Hollow Wicker Basket. The only reason he didn't use Hollow Wicker Basket against Hikari is because Hikari's domain sets in faster than Kashimo was able to use Hollow Wicker Basket. I hope you can pull it up in here. I can't, Tiberius. I'm so sorry. I literally can't do anything on my phone. I can't do anything on my phone. I literally can't. I can see. I have my computer right in front of me. I can see it, but I can't. I can't do anything to put it on here. I might have to try downloading like OBS on my phone and see if that works. But right now, I'm literally just doing YouTube stream. Maybe you just pin a message. So I would love to do that, but I don't think I have access to the chat. Yeah, it doesn't give me it doesn't give me access to the chat, unfortunately. Otherwise, we would have done this hours ago. Yeah, no, it doesn't give me an option. I don't have an option. It doesn't give me an option. First thing Dagon did when fighting Naobito is flood the area. Naobito was able to get rid of the water because of his curse technique. How does Kashimo do that? Well, for one, Kashimo can definitely get out of the water, like jump above the water, and also the very nature of the fact that Kashimo is a lightning merchant, he can literally just like electrify his pole or like throw his pole down to the bottom of the flood and then immediately send the positive and negative charges and just and then that entire flood is electrified and Dagon's in the middle of it and getting cooked, roasted like lobster. So yeah. Um so I guess like I said, I'm gonna be ending stream soon. If you haven't already, please hit that like button. It helps the stream way more than you know. Um final topic that I'm gonna probably make a short on tomorrow or something. Um Also, to answer someone's question, Gojo versus the Void Generals, I don't know how strong the Void Generals are, so I can't answer that. But what I can say is the people. I should do a whole video on this, honestly. The people that think Geto is like some weak fucking character blows my fucking mind to this absolute day. Why do we suffer from like the thing like Jogo? If Jogo wasn't him, like if Jogo wasn't this character that was like memeable and funny and like lovable, Jogo would not have we would not have the Jogo gang. Like we have to understand here. Like Jogo was a successful character because people fell in love with Jogo's design and his personality and who he was, and they said, "Hey, I'm gonna stick up for my boy Jogo. He's not weak. He just fought the two strongest characters in the series, right? 110%." But for Geto, no one gives Geto any fucking grace whatsoever. Geto got destroyed by Toji. You mean Teen Geto? You talking about Teen Geto? I've got dog hair on my fucking glasses and it's so noticeable and it's bothering me. Geto Geto was able to quite literally start a war with all of Jujutsu society. Every grade 1 that we know, Meimei, Kusakabe, Nanami, all of these characters were fighting a war against one fucking man. Like, what? Geto is one of the strongest characters in the series. Geto was able to throw hands with both Yuta and a stronger Rika. Geto is fucking insane. Do I think Geto could beat Hikari? I guess it depends, right? It depends on what curses. But probably not. No, I think Hikari probably has a pretty decent Hikari probably has a pretty decent hack against Geto just because Hikari can last forever, and unless Geto has a curse that's able to steadily deal with Jackpot or stop Hikari from domaining, I don't necessarily see him potentially winning this. But he could outwit him. Geto's pretty smart, but Hikari is also pretty durable. You got to give Hikari his thing, but also at the same time, like this isn't Dragon Ball Z where it's power levels, right? Like this is Jujutsu Kaisen where it's strict matchups. Strict matchups. See arguments for 6th or 7th. Yep, that's exactly where I have him. I have him at 7th. Strict matchups because, like I said, like there are some people that I wouldn't consider stronger than others that can beat other people. Like Hikari beat Kashimo in a fight, but I consider Kashimo way stronger than Hikari. Hey, my boy 100, what's going on, man? How you doing? That boy is 8th. See, you get it. Cultured man right here. Cultured man right here. Check mark looks good on you. Time to pull the Broken Ronin card and do a Gojo versus Sukuna stream. Maybe. I have a couple stream ideas. I have one planned for tomorrow. But yeah, no. Either way, the Geto I think is just so downplayed. Concretely, it's insane. Geto gets clapped by a lot of people who have a domain. But again, it depends on what curses he has, right? Because if he has curse spirits with domain expansions, he might not. He had a curse spirit with a domain expansion when he fought Toji. Sure, Toji is again OP. I would put Toji and Maki top 5 of the series personally. I don't even. If you put Toji up against Yuji, who's winning that fight? Let's be honest here. Be real with me, because if your answer is Yuji, I think you're crazy. To be honest with you, if you think Yuji's mopping the floor with Toji Fushiguro, the agenda has blinded you. I can't lead you out of this forest. Toji top 5. I mean, the thing is, I just don't know who's beating Toji. Would Hikari win against Yuji if they were both naked? Get your mind out of the gutter? No, trust me. I'm an avid Sakamoto Days enjoyer. Trust me. I know that's an honest question. I don't didn't even raise an eyebrow when Rihanna Cal was like, "Hey, look, me and Sakamoto would beat me normally, but if it was me and him naked in a room, I would win." And it's like, "Hey, I feel you, girl. You know what? I feel that energy." Kashimo beats Toji. I don't know about that. I don't know about that. I don't believe that definitively enough to argue that right now. Um, but personally, off my first impression, I would put Maki over Kashimo. If you give me a little time, next stream I'll come back and I'll get a little bit more comfortable debating the topic. But personally, off of my first ideas of everything, I would put Maki over Kashimo for sure. I think Maki is faster, has proven herself to be faster. Soul Split Katana is unhealable damage. You could again, if you can, if you put Maki faster than Hikari, I don't see why you wouldn't believe that Maki would win. Maki also was able to react and dodge, not react and tank Sukuna's Nue lightning. So I don't see. I also potentially see reasons why Maki might be durable enough to actually. I think Kashimo's lightning strike might be a little stronger. So I don't want to say again. I don't want to say that concretely. But again, fully believe right now Maki would win against Kashimo. I'll do a little bit of research, look into it later, and maybe we'll talk about this next vertical stream because I want to do one again soon. Are you gonna watch review the Devil May Cry Netflix anime? So funnily enough, that's actually why I want to end stream because I want to watch that and I want to react to it and I want to start the. I have my reaction channel set. I'm gonna actually start that. So that being said, guys, that is the best way I can transition out because I will get stun locked very easily into all of these conversations and all of these chats. Yeah, Devil May Cry anime came out today. I don't know if it's already out, but it came out today. Um, I would imagine Netflix. It probably just releases it, right? Did they release the whole season or just one episode? Oh, they released the whole. They released the whole thing. Damn, your keyboard must hate you. You slapping that bitch. Oh my god, bro. Don't even get me started. That's what everyone says. I didn't even realize you guys were right there and you could hear that. I apologize. But all right, guys. We are exiting. We're blasting off. I appreciate all you guys popping in. Thank you so much for all the love. Thank you so much for all of the hate. Thank you so much for everything. Thank you just so much for the support. Thank you guys for tuning in. I do appreciate you guys more than anything in the world. Hit that like button if you haven't already. I know for some reason these vertical streams are hard to find the fucking like button, but it is what it is. The girlies give their love. Sadie, say bye. Okay. Say bye. All right, guys. I'll see you later. Peace. Oh, wait, hold on. How do I end this? Oh, here it is. Peace, guys.